Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Arlayna Alcock. She is an international student transition specialist. She has a passion for helping students and their families navigate the complexities of studying abroad. She has over 15 years of experience working in the education sector. Welcome to the show, Arlayna.
Thank you, AJ. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll be talking about how one can thrive as an international student, how one can take benefit, learn a lot about this process from you. But before we talk about that, let's understand a bit about your journey, Arlena, so that people know who they are listening to and also learn from your journey itself.
So, I was an international student myself for 2 years in Mexico City. I grew up in Canada in a really small town, and I left this small town university and I flew out into this gigantic city of 25 million people. And I remember going down. That was nighttime and diving down in the airplane, and you could see the skyline for miles and miles and miles and miles. And I thought, oh no, what have I done? I didn't even speak Spanish. I didn't even speak the language when and I went there, and I went to study at a university where they studied in English, so I was able to study cultural anthropology. And then I went to another university to study Spanish. And I lived with a family while I was there who helped me so much. But it would have been nice to, have had some help a little bit, before I went, and a little bit better idea of what the culture and what to expect when I got there. And then now I am a career coach and international transition specialist with 15 years of experience in post secondary education. Coaching, particularly, I have a particular interest in helping people create the networks and the connections and the documentation, the resumes and cover letters and interview strategies, even before they leave their country. So they're totally prepared for any kind of situation that will come up, and they can create a whole new world for themselves once they land in either the Canada or the United States. And it's totally possible. People come to these countries from all over the world and have fantastic careers and start businesses. And I tell them it's not who you know. Everyone says, I have no connections. I don't know anyone. I'm all by myself. My friends can't help me. And I say, it's not who you know, but who you get to know. And so that's my goal, is to help people just move through this transition process before they leave the country, and even all the way through it until they get to graduation. I work with bachelor's degree students, tech colleges where people come over just to do a diploma, master's degree students, and even PhD students. So that's a bit of my journey anyway.
Very interesting journey, and now you are helping a lot of students. So, Arlena, first to understand itself, a lot of people think, okay, when they talk of US, they also understand it's Canada also.
Hmm.
But actually, there must be quite some bit of difference between the two places. What are the
Hmm.
difference? Suppose someone is applying for US colleges, but they are
Hmm.
not able to get through there. Is there a process they can look at both the places at the same time so that they don't miss out on any semester, any year, or the opportunities that
Hmm.
these two places can offer? And
We
how
have
are these two places different?
How are they different? Well, Canada's colder, I have to say that. The weather, you're going to have to get your Canada Goose coat and be very warm here. And, the United States has much better weather, I guess. But some people like to ski. Some people like to skate. They want to have the mountain experience and the outdoors experience. So that is something, or the West Coast in Vancouver, right? We have that whole, Vancouver's a whole other really special world, right? But the universities here are outstanding, right? University of Toronto, University of British Columbia, University of Calgary have world-class reputations. There's actually a magazine called Maclean's Magazine, and you can look up the ratings of the schools in that magazine to see which ones. Some are considered. University of Toronto is considered an Ivy League school, and a lot easier to get into even. So we have Americans that come here too, and they are also international students when they come to Canada, and they pay less also in tuition than the United States, and they get a world class education. So that it is a definitely an option to come to Canada. And if someone's learning English, I actually recommend that they look at some smaller colleges in smaller communities where you're not so tied into your communities and you actually learn the language and stay with families. In Canada, we have a very standard education system. So if you go to a government sanctioned regulated university, whether you're in a smaller community or in a huge city, you can expect a very, very high standard of education. If it's a government sanctioned education, sometimes private schools are like on the edge. And in some countries, private school is the best. Private schools, you need to take a lot more investigation in Canada because our government schools, universities are outstanding. Mhm.
Absolutely.
Culturally, I think Americans are more direct in their approach to things, and Canadians are a little softer, a little more under the table. We're a little closer to the British. So when you're going to job interviews and that kind of thing, um, when you read books, a lot of job interview and coaching books are written in the United States, not so many in Canada or Australia. And they'll say, you have to sell yourself, you have to be aggressive, you have to go in, and that's American. In Canada, if you did that, you might not get the job. In Canada, you have to just say how, very clearly how you would contribute to the organization and, how you're going to fit in with the team and in softer tones. And it's a very different cultural approach, actually, which people don't sometimes realize.
Absolutely, absolutely, Arlena. So, my question is: suppose a lot of students from India go to that part of the world, and
Yes.
a lot of times, for specific reasons, they are going to, Europe.
Hmm.
Uh, is it that Europe has better offerings, or is it because there are some things that Europe can offer, but not in Canada as such? What would you like to tell people in terms of, the same options available in Canada and Europe? Is it about the cost, or is it about something else? What would you
It's
like to tell about, Canada facilities to such students?
I think people want to live in Canada. Most of the students we have a really high immigration rate. People are very welcome to immigrate newcomers to we call them newcomers to Canada. We don't call them immigrants. We call them newcomers to Canada because we want to develop a new Canadian, bringing with them their cultural practices and their excitement about integrating into our country as well, their new ideas, their business ideas. In the schools I've worked in, we have a high population from India and Pakistan, and their goal is to live here and enjoy sort of this open society that is very, very open to new people in our environments. I think people have fantasies about where they'd like to live too. Like some people want to live in Australia by the ocean. I mean, like other people say they can't wait to see their first snowfall or go skiing or do something and live that kind of life. So, and in Europe, it's sophisticated and you've got, everything you could imagine and you can travel to all these different countries. I mean, they're totally different experiences, but for quality of education, if you want to be a doctor or an engineer or anything else, Canada is second to none in my opinion. So it's really like choosing from a menu. How do you want to live your life? We do have a better, open immigration policy, though, than some places. I have to say,
Right.
Canada wants people to come.
Canada wants people to come, but you
Mhm.
have to be ready for that. So, what are the preparations that one should make before even getting their flight tickets or the visa or anything else? What is it that students or their parents they can start doing while they are in the home country itself?
I think in general, just looking online and looking that, school can be different, right? Academic, how teachers teach is different. So thinking, it's going to be the same in your home country when you write tests. One of the things in Canadian schools is we want to know a lot about your opinion about things. We want you to write reflective papers and know what you think. And I've noticed sometimes when I've been, I'm a teacher as well, I've been teaching, sometimes people want to, it's a more, in many countries, you have to memorize facts and just show that you know that technical information. And they struggle sometimes, communicating on their thoughts on the information. You can be graded on that. And it's like people get very confused. We even run we've even run workshops on that kind of thing, just so people can get better at expressing themselves. So the academic styles can be very different. Um, just understanding the culture, just reading books on Canada or the United States, wherever you're going, and thinking, what are the laws? What is the etiquette of how people act and how they talk? How do they like to make small talk? There's books on workplace culture and that kind of thing as well. So just getting a better idea of your chosen city too, because it can be, Canada and United States are a huge place, just like India. It can be very different living in a large city than a small city. Just doing lots of research on those kinds of things as well can be really helpful. And also paying attention to the when you do apply, read your emails, pay attention to the immigration rules. I know it's because one of the biggest problems I've found as a career coach is people come in and they say, I thought I was going to be able to work full time and go to school because I need the money to get through this. And the immigration only in Canada right now allows them to do 20 hours a week. And they're expected to be in school. And then they aren't reading their emails. And then the immigration changes. Sometimes they change the rules. And people aren't paying attention to those kinds of things. Making sure you have enough money to get through things too. You can't necessarily expect that a part-time job is going to help you as much as you think. Being really sure that you can manage this transition financially too. What does it cost to live in Canada? What is it really? We have a housing issue here. We've let in, actually over exceeded the immigration and international student requirements. Some people may be very familiar with this issue. It's possible you have to live with roommates, but what is it? The rents went up, and how much has it got? The food's gone up. What you planned for 2 years ago might look very different. So knowing really how far your is it rupee how your rupee
Right,
is going to
right,
go
right.
is really important. So academics, anything you can find about the culture and the school and your financial situation is really important. And read your emails on your visa issues when you actually do apply. Don't forget to pay attention to those things.
Absolutely, absolutely, Arlena. So, in terms of, a lot of people may not be very rich, from the rich families, from the rural background, and they understand that if I am able to go to that place, I will be able to work. But you are talking about the 20-hour restriction and all. So, how do they find out beforehand what is possible, what is not possible? If they are able to find a person like you, it's good. Good luck for them. But if they are not, what are the other options available for
Mhm.
them? A lot of parents, they are not as educated as their children, and their children are going out. How can they be of help to people? Also, in terms of expectations, what expectations should the potential student should be, or their parents?
Mhm. So are you asking about before they come or after
Yes,
they
before they come, and
before they come?
also before they come, but obviously they will be thinking about what happens once their kid lands up in
Okay.
Canada or any other country.
Our colleges and universities have a lot of resources. So looking that up on the website, and once you land, getting involved with them, there's counselors. If people get homesick, you can make an appointment with a free counselor at the college or the university. There are academic experts to help them with their studies. Um, there are career coaches. That every school has a center where people can go and get a person to help them do their resume and their cover letters, and get the help they need. Job fairs, and they need to get involved. Clubs are great. They need to get involved right away with a club so that they can meet people, either in international students clubs, which people are most comfortable with initially, but starting to branch out into other things so they can meet local people as well, so you can get that connection and information right away. But most schools offer a huge array of support services, which many students, because they're too shy or they just don't think to look at the website and figure it out, don't even know exists. There should be lots of help for people when they land, international student departments as well, right, for activities and connections. Um, Global Canada Global Affairs Canada has a immigration website where they post the changes in work regulations. Like in the summertime, last summer, they opened it up to 35 hours of work during the summertime, and they closed it off again to 20 hours. 20 hours has generally been the standard in Canada for that part-time job. So immigration website will tell them beforehand. So you might want to compare countries to the different immigration websites put out by the governments to see, if you don't have a lot of money, maybe Canada isn't necessarily the best place for you. If you think you're going to need to work more, you need to go to a country where they have a more open part-time student or a student work visa arrangement where they allow you to. I know some people can do it, right? They can work 30 hours a week and go to school. They have endless energy. I've seen it. I've seen it done. So it is possible, but you need to know the rules
Right.
beforehand.
You need to know the rules. So, to understand it better, you have mentioned some of the things. What are the major challenges where
Oh,
most of these students who
frozen.
land up in Canada and they face when arriving in a new country like Canada?
Well, one of the biggest thing you wouldn't think would be a big deal was getting the part-time job. So they're
Okay.
here, they're by themselves. All of a sudden, they're like, whoa, I need a job at a coffee shop. How am I going to do that? And so, accessing your career services right away and getting help with your resume. And most colleges and universities also have a special online job board that you have a student number, and that's where outside employers post their graduate jobs as well as part-time jobs. So there should be a job center in your college that you need to go to right away, and just don't wait if you need to get a job, because people, wandering around, usually their resumes, a resume is very different in North America. Most people throughout the world do a curriculum vitae or a CV.
Right.
So if some people have worked a little bit, they know how to do that. It's not the same thing at all. So they put a fancy CV out to, a coffee shop, and they look overqualified, for example. So there's just little cultural things that your career job center at your college or university will be able to help you right away. And of course, some people have never worked at all. If you're going from high school, you don't know how to work or get a job. So you need to just access a service as soon as you can if you need to work.
Right. Right. Now, globally, a lot of things have changed. Canada is
Mhm.
also changing with a lot of new challenges and everything else coming up. But one thing, a lot of students have this in mind, that once you go to that country, it's not only about education, but later on you will be able to get a good job in that country.
Mhm.
Maybe that will open up future opportunities for that. In these change situations, how optimistic should one be for a country like Canada? Or is it only to keep your expectations up to up to getting the education that you want, of whichever course you want, and then look at opportunities elsewhere, and or maybe back in your home country, rather than putting all your eggs in the same basket, that is Canada itself?
I agree. I think you have to look at all your options, and we call it dreaming in stages, right? So the first stage is get your education that you want and have a great experience. And one of the things a career services center or an expert like me can help you is making connections from this time you land with people outside of the school, even who are working, to help you build, like in professional associations, they have student memberships people don't know. So you can start to build your networks to get your next stage, your dream job at the end. So it is entirely possible. I think people wait too long to build those connections. They graduate and they're like, "Oh my gosh, now what do I do?" And they have a visa deadline to get a work visa and a job in their field. And the issue for them, I think, is they haven't started soon enough with the research process about where they want to go. So I think it's possible to get a entry level jobs. We face this with local students as well. They sometimes don't pay as like, we have to start at the bottom no matter who we are. Like, even if it's Google, you're probably starting at the bottom, right? Or, as an engineering student, you're starting with an entry level job. and being, understanding and doing research so you know what's opposite of what is available. But yeah, there's remote work now, there's international companies, and your education here might help you do something amazing at home. It's okay to go back home. I know, and work and build your life back home if that's what you want to do. You don't have to stay here if it doesn't seem like the best option. It just also depends what you study, I think. We have there's labor market information available at your career services. Is this the best option for the economy in this country? Can be different than in your home country. What's like in Canada, we need tradespeople,
Okay.
apprenticeships, electricians, carpenters, and for most people who are university bound, that's not really in their mind. Project construction managers, we have a
Right.
huge shortage, and people who own and create their own businesses can become millionaires, right? Like it's a path that is in some countries really not a consideration for most people, especially if you come from want that university. So you can go to university, study business, but you could also then study electrician,
Right.
and you might be filling a huge hole in the Canadian economy. So you have to be open minded too, because it is a new world. I think what's valuable here is not as valuable there, and vice versa. So you have to do your research and be open
You have
minded.
absolutely. In terms of networking, it's good you mentioned about networking. A lot of people think that they know networking because a lot of people just meet people in their home country, or a lot of networking is nowadays getting done online. What changes bet when one goes there? Is it a different type of networking that is there, which can be utilized for for career growth, getting a job, or beyond
Hmm. Well, networking is a very mysterious term. I would agree.
that?
Um, There are both in-person, wonderful in-person, opportunities here, as well as like LinkedIn is a huge deal here too. You can connect with people, alumni, graduates. You can do information coffees with them and using LinkedIn, and you can connect with your classmates. But while they're unemployed, they're going to be working later, so you can get them on your LinkedIn network and help each other and see. So you're creating things that way. Um, Professional associations are a huge deal in Canada. So every profession has a group. So the nurses have a group, the engineers have a group of working people, and they have special, supply chain management is a big deal in Canada right now. They have free, some of them have very low cost to free memberships because they want to encourage students, and you go to conferences with them and breakfast meetings and speakers, and they have webinars, and most of the people there are working, and a lot of managers and directors also belong to them, but very few students take advantage of that. So that you land in September, an expert or your career services manager can tell you what your professional association is for what the field you're thinking of, and you could start right away meeting people who are high level in person if you wanted to. So, but most students don't even know that's a possibility. So, online offers you great opportunities, but human contact is still trending in my world. So,
Absolutely. And when do you come into the picture? Is it the best for them to connect before they set sail from home, or is it better for them to connect with you when they are in Canada?
well, either is great if but I have a soft spot for before, because I can lead you through a program or even a few sessions to you have a proper resume for a part-time job and for an internship and for starting getting ready for your grad 4 years ago. 4 years later, I can help you start that before you leave. And what does an interview look like? I'm doing research on your community and labor market information, career exploration and career planning. If you don't know which program to pick that's going to be effective in your home country, I can help you do that kind of thing. So that's where I feel the gap is. I think we could do more before you leave. So you hit the ground running, and then I like to then offer a period of email support and check in with you and help you get connected with your university and college resources, so then you can fly on your own. But that would be my ideal situation, because then you're under less pressure and you can just enjoy the whole situation and move forward. If you land and you get, you feel, oh my gosh, that's a scenario, I need help now. My career services, can't get appointments there. It's too either I don't know. Someone like me I can walk you through the same process, and also post grad. That's the other group. They don't do anything to do all this. They're out and they're like, okay, I graduated. We call it walking the stage. I shook the president's hand. I have my certificate. I'm good to go. Oh my god, I need a job, right? So that's, again, that's when we would support a person like that as well. Either someone like me, I'm an expert in the field. Career services in your colleges do that as well. Maybe not at the depth, but it's definitely there for you. Coaching, of course, is very personal, and it gives you that really intense emotional support if you need it, depending on your personality. Other people find their career services has tons going on and it's more than enough for them. So those are kind of three stages of how I would look at it. So yeah.
Wonderful. But in all the stages, you are there. And I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you, learn more about you, from you, take your services. So, what is the best way for them to do so?
I have a website, arlaynaalcock.com, or I'm also on LinkedIn. I respond to both. But on my website, of course, there's a book a call page, and we can just have a chat, see what's going on with you, and what might fit. And if it doesn't, we can also take a quick look at your university, see what they have, if the that's a better initial fit. Just I want you to be successful, so we want to have a quick call, get to know you, so that you know that this is my services are available for you in your new amazing journey in your new land. Super exciting. So,
Super exciting. Wonderful. With
mhm.
this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.